bienvenidos. Welcome to Mole Mama Cooking with Love. You're listening to our podcast, and you can listen on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, all these other channels, as well as on YouTube. You can actually watch while you're listening. And I'm very excited because today I have a very special guest with me. I have a lovely woman. I have Valerie from Cranberry Walks. And we're going to learn all about her blog, her food blog. And if you're not following her right now on Instagram, you need to go over there right now. She's making like amazing creative recipes. Like I seriously look at what she's making and go, what? How did she come up with that? And most recently she did this cheesy seed bark. Doesn't that sound amazing if you're a cheese fan like me? And that's, oh my gosh. And chicken harissa tacos and veggie peanut noodles. She's amazing. So with that, I want to welcome all of you and welcome our lovely guest, Valerie.
Hi, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm great too. Thank you so much for having me. It's so much fun.
Well, absolutely. Like I said, can't wait to learn more about you and where these amazing recipes come from. But first of all, can you tell us like where this name came from and that it's so creative?
Well, I'm afraid when I tell the story, it won't seem so creative.
Okay.
But my family, we love the beach, and we do have a beach house we've had since my sons are little, and they're both in their 20s now. And we live on Cranberry Walk at the beach.
Oh.
And it's our happy place. The boys and I spent our summers there since they're toddlers, not as much anymore. And my husband would join us on weekends. So all our memories there are happy. It's joyful, it's playful, and that's where Cranberry Walk came from. Because I love my blog and I love Cranberry Walk and the memories, so it seemed like a natural.
That is fantastic. I was trying to always connect it to a cranberry going, see a cranberry walking down the street. I'm like, what is the cranberry?
I know.
That's a lovely story.
Well, and I do have, like, on my blog, there's a little bit of blurb about me. And then there is a small picture on the blog of my sons when they're little. And it says, Cranberry Walk. But it's hard to make the connection, but they are standing on Cranberry Walk, and you'll see.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
It's a really cute picture of them, but I didn't connect it. So
it was my little secret, but now it's out.
Now it's
That's
out.
where it came from.
Now we know. That's beautiful.
Know.
Okay, so your blog is amazing. You have so many recipes. We're going to talk about those in a few minutes. But when did you start it? Why did you start it? How did it happen?
I did stop working when my second son was born, so I've been home, right? And I always loved to cook. I love to eat, and I love food, and the whole process of sharing it with people. I love it, and I've been doing it. I do it every day. So when my sons were finally both going off to college, it was time for me to, really go back into the world. And somehow I thought, I'm going to start a blog. I'm going to start a food blog, and my husband and sons cheered me on. They're like, yeah, go ahead. And it just kind of, took a life on its own. And I have all these recipes that I'm posting, and, that's really how it started. It was just something I loved.
That is fantastic. So where did you learn to cook? Is it something you learned from somebody in your family, or did you pick it up on your own?
It's funny. So my parents both loved entertaining. My dad was Italian, my mother's Hungarian, and it's an interesting combination. But food was always part of everything. It was a happy time, we have food. A sad time, we have food. People are over, we have food. The mailman comes to drop off an envelope, you need something to eat. That's just the world I grew up in. And while we ate differently, honestly, than much of the food I cook, it was a way of life. It was a way of sharing love with our family and friends. So it just kind of continued through my life. And it's pretty much, they gave that to me. They gave that gift of sharing food to me.
Okay, so you mentioned that, and that is so beautiful, and it sounds like the way I grew up too. It's like, You just need food. Food, just, yeah, it's always around to share it. All right. So you mentioned that you cook differently than your Italian and Hungarian parents. And I know a lot of your recipes are really healthy focused. So can you talk to us about how you've made that transition and just share how that happened?
Well, my dad's Italian, so we had the Italian food from my dad. My mom was maybe some Hungarian, a lot of American type food. I've always just liked healthy food. I prefer just from on my own eating salads or things like that. It just makes me feel more comfortable. So when my husband and I married, we'd come home, whoever came home would start cooking first. And, I seem to have taken over that, but it was always healthy, and my husband loves fried food, and he likes healthy too, though, but he loves all that stuff. But since I guess I pretty much do the kitchen thing, that's how we eat. And my son's like this too, so it works out pretty well.
All right. So can you share some of your most popular recipes, what they are with our listeners?
Well, people do like when I post salads. We do eat salads almost every day because I just love them. But I think it's funny that one of my most popular recipes ever are garlic knots. So basically, it's pizza dough. And, if you ever go to a New York pizza place, they have these garlic knots. It's pizza dough made into a knot, and, it's kind of tossed in oil and garlic and, so it's not quite my healthiest, but I did a healthy twist. I think sometimes there's butter on it. Mine is olive oil, and it's skimpy on the olive oil, and they are good. They're pretty addictive.
Sounds amazing.
Yeah, I don't. It's weird that that's a popular one, but it is.
Okay, and we have to talk about this cheesy seed bark and how you came up with this recipe, because like I was mentioning when I introduced you, I look at your post on Instagram and go, how did you put those things together? Like, how does that happen?
Well, it's funny. I'm always, every time I see food, I'm always thinking, oh, I'll make that. Or maybe, something makes me think of something else, and I make these odd connections. But this is a little different. My husband and I were visiting my son at college in the fall, and my husband and I one afternoon just went in, I don't know, to a deli or something. We got some drinks and a little snack, and we were walking around outside, and we got this thing. I don't know what it was. It came in a container, and we ate it, and I said, this is so good. What is this? He's like, I have no idea. I think it's some cracker. And I go, I don't know. There are a lot of seeds in there. Like, this is delicious. So honestly, I took a small piece with me. I traveled back to New York with it, which seems kind of odd now that I'm thinking about it. That was in October. And honestly, when I posted the post, I really just made it. So I kind of stored this little piece of cracker for a few months. Till this day, I really don't know what was in it, but I made it a cheesy-seedy snack because how am I going to glue these seeds together? And I thought, hey, I think this is gluten-free, so let's make it gluten-free, and that's how I did it. So that's how I came up with the cheesy-seedy snack.
Oh my gosh, I have to try and make that because it looks so good. I've looked at it so many times. I'm such a cheese fan. I love cheese. So
honestly, I just love it too much.
I do too. It's just
it's like I can't stop. That's what my problem is,
Valerie, you are my kind of woman. You travel with food in your purse. I always travel with food.
Doesn't everybody?
I don't think everybody does, but I think that should be a hashtag. I travel with food. So.
Well, it's funny because I think it might have been on that same trip. I had the little food and that cracker or whatever it is in my bag, in my handbag. And I think I purchased sun-dried tomatoes and olive oil because, we can't get that here in New York, only in California. I packed it in my carry-on bag. And of course, I'm going through security, and my husband thought, oh God, here we go. And sure enough, they stop me and they pull out, my sun-dried tomatoes. And I said, oh my God, they're sun-dried tomatoes, but they kept them because of the oil in the jar. And I thought, oh. And my husband said, Valerie, see, can't you just buy that? You don't think New York has sun-dried tomatoes?
Okay, so here's the trick. You just pack those things.
Exactly.
You pack your food. I went to New York in January to visit friends. I took over 30 pounds of food. I took tamale. I took mole. Oh my gosh. But it was all frozen. I had it it was all frozen in my bag. So you can check it.
We're soulmates. Oh, wait. So wait, what did you pack? Let me hear everything you brought.
So I took my friends some tamales, some mole. I think I took some enchiladas, some crunchy tacos that I had left over, some Spanish rice. I usually make these cupcakes. So yeah, I took a giant bag and half of it was food. And I actually had to take a second bag because I went over the weight limit on the big bag.
Oh my gosh, we need to travel together.
Yes.
We're travel buddies, right?
Yes. Yeah. And I have done events in other states. So I've actually checked Ice Chest. I figured out how to do that with TSA. You can actually do a whole ice chest, and they look at what's in there and make sure it's food. But I think I traveled with over 100 enchiladas one time.
Did you really?
I did.
Oh, I need to travel with you. I am not traveling with the right people. That's hysterical.
Yeah. So anyway, we can't travel right now, but in the future, yes.
Yeah. When that ban is lifted and we're all healthy, we will travel together.
Absolutely. All right. So the other thing about your blog and your Instagram feed is your photos are amazing. Like seriously, I'm like, can I just have a bite? Can I grab one? So who's taking those photos? Are you taking them, or is it somebody in your family taking them? What's going on?
Well, that is not my strong suit, though I'm desperately trying. And I do take many, many of the photos. I want to say most of them,
Okay.
But I don't know if that's true. I like to think it's true, but my sons are true blue. And, while my poor oldest son's home, and he works, he occasionally takes photos for me, which I really appreciate. And my younger son is home and takes pity on me as I'm turning the bowl, and tilting my head, taking 95 shots of the same tomato, and they just can't take it anymore. I think because they want to eat it, really. They will snap a photo for me, and they know I really appreciate it. I'm very grateful when someone comes through and takes a photo.
That's awesome. I think your photos are great. So.
Thank you.
But it's super sweet that your kids are helping you out. That's awesome. All right. And are you working on a cookbook? You have so many recipes.
I have to tell you something. I would just love that. I always wanted that, even when I was younger. But, I guess it'll come. I have the recipes and I could think of recipes, but it seems a little daunting, to get a cookbook going. So I'll have to.
Well, I'm just saying, I have a really sweet editor who could give you some tips on how to do that. So, and I think what's also interesting is that even with book sales dropping, cookbooks continue to sell well.
Oh, that's nice to hear. Well,
yeah.
We'll have to talk after this.
Yeah, we need to talk.
I would love your editor. Hey, listen, I can use all the help I can get.
That's me too. All right. So we spoke a moment about what's your most popular recipe. What's your personal favorite?
Oh, hands down, spaghetti and meatballs. Always.
Really?
I love it. And people laugh. They can't believe it. And, my husband and sons are very adventurous eaters. My family enjoys good food and tries different things. And, so do I. And thanks to my husband, I have branched out more. But it's funny because sometimes on my birthday I say, please, Brett, I just want spaghetti and meatballs.
I
Because
love it.
sometimes everything's so fancy or so, so it's all it takes. Today I posted meatballs too. I try to transform meatballs because I genuinely love them.
And your meatballs today, it had so many ingredients. I was reading all the ingredients going, ooh, okay, that. Oh, how does that taste? Okay, wow. And then she did a sauce. I'm like, oh my gosh.
It is true that most of my recipes are driven by my husband and sons, not so much what they ask me to make, but what I know they love. And what do I want to cook for dinner tonight? What will everyone love? What will be interesting? We all have in common that we like something different all the time. So I try not to repeat things too often, which is since they're little. And my sons love Korean food and they love, anything really. But the other day I thought, ooh, I remember a couple of years ago we had that good bulgogi, I think I'm saying it right, bulgogi barbecue. That was delicious. Like, I'm going to make me some meatballs like that. And that's how things happen for me. I'll make a connection and then.
That's outstanding. Okay, so one of the other things I wanted to talk about, because I saw that on Instagram, you made this really great offer for people that right now during the coronavirus who are cooking more, that you would help them. So why don't you share what you are offering to folks right now? Because I thought it was so lovely.
It's funny. We all have to help each other now, right? It's we're all in this together. And I'm pretty stunned when I go to the markets. I mean, seriously, the shelves are empty. Mm-hmm. And the other day I was in Whole Foods actually, and I was looking at the shelves and I thought, God, everything's gone. And I don't know. I started thinking people are just pulling things off the shelf. They pull things off the shelves. I don't even think they cared what they were pulling, because it's just all empty. But there are a lot of people out there that aren't like you and me, and they don't cook all the time. And, they're used to going out or ordering in or, having a lot of prepackaged food, which is great, whatever works for everybody. And I do have some friends that don't cook, and this is overwhelming to them. It's overwhelming to have to cook dinner. The kids are home, their little kids are, so now they're cooking all these meals. And I mean, I don't know, chicken nuggets are going to run out soon, right? So it occurred to me, what in the world are these people doing with this food? The people that don't cook. And I thought, you know what? I can't cook for everybody, but I can put recipes together and I know how to mix foods together and I could really make something out of very little. So I'm happy to offer that. So I've offered that on, Instagram and Facebook and on my blog, that anyone that wants to contact me, via message or Facebook or Instagram or send me an email can. Tell me what you have in your cabinets, and I will help you figure out what you can make for dinner, for lunch, for breakfast. I think even set for their kids' snacks, for anything, and if that relieves some stress, because I think it is stressful for some people, I'm happy to do it. I mean, it's fun. And it's sometimes nice if you have someone that you could say, oh, I could really make this. And then, of course, you could have a follow-up question, how exactly do you do it? And I'll give as many steps as I can, and I'm happy to help. And that's really the least I can do it. I don't know what else I could offer to help people. So.
And that is it's so lovely. What a lovely offer. So you heard, everybody, if you have stuff in your pantry and you don't know how to put it together or what to create, reach out to Cranberry Walks and she's going to help you. That's awesome.
My pleasure.
That is fantastic. Yeah, because I have found it's just my husband and I now, and he does not really like leftovers too much. I love leftovers. I can do that every day, but not him. And so usually he'll augment my leftovers by running out here, running out there, so he can't run out. So I'm like,
he has nowhere to go.
He has nowhere to go. So
I like to contact me.
I know. Well, he's not going to cook, but I'm like, I need to. So I've been trying to.
He has you. He has you. I think you've got that covered.
But I need to be a little bit more creative. The one thing that my mother was just so good at was the leftover thing. Like she could go in the refrigerator and just create new meals out of anything. So I think it's lovely that you're doing this because I'm not so good at that. So it's fantastic.
It's a pleasure.
All right. So you cook a lot. Do you ever have any mishaps? You ever tried things you were like, oh, just didn't work?
Oh, yeah, sure. You know, the whole blood orange winter rage. You know, I did do a couple of things that worked out, but most recently, I made the most ugly looking blood orange curd. I expected it to be the color of, I don't know, a blood orange, gorgeous, and it was beige. But this is the ugliest thing I have ever seen. And I tasted it, and it was good. And when my husband and son saw it, when I knew, and they said, oh my God, what is that? So that didn't make the blog or Instagram. It tasted okay, but you know what? I think I have tabled blood orange recipes for the rest of it scarred me. So what about you?
Oh my goodness. I have done so many things that were not great. I have burned things. So with my new stove, it gets so much hot. I used to have an electric stove, and oh my, there's been some mishaps in this house as far as, you know, beans are like a light tan that all of a sudden are dark black. It's like, oh no, you know, fire alarms going off. Yeah, I've had the fire alarm seriously go off so many times. It's not even funny.
It's like you have an awesome stove, but you have to get used to it, right?
Yes, I have had, yeah. She's great, but I'm a slow learner so far how hot she can get, so I'm learning. But yeah, I've had some huge mishaps, and I've just been thinking about myself and my cooking, and with more people cooking, that I wanted to start actually posting more of my mishaps to let people know that we don't always get it right.
True.
It doesn't always come out.
Well, if I could find some of my beige curd recipe of my orange curd, maybe I'll post it and show mishap.
No, I think so too. I don't think I took pictures of the beans that I destroyed the other day. So, but I should. It's definitely something that I want to work on. So far, I mean, you are doing this amazing blog. It's beautiful. You have all these great recipes. It's something that you love. What have been some of the challenges of having your own blog?
I think honestly getting traffic to the blog, because traffic seems to go to Instagram, and which is great because, you know, I'm getting to have a virtual family on Instagram, and I'm making new friends every day on Instagram, and I love that. I think that's awesome, and that fuels me. But I would love to kind of bring some of that over to my blog, because that is really my place. You know, that's what started this for me. So, you know, I hope in time, as more people get to know me on Instagram and maybe want to look up a recipe or two, they'll head over to the blog, and I'll, you know, so I can kind of move that along a little bit more.
Okay. And do you have, what's been the biggest surprise? What has been the biggest, like, wow, that's amazing?
You know, I think just, as I just kind of mentioned, meeting people on Instagram. I mean, I didn't imagine that Instagram wouldn't be for me alone. You know what I mean? Like I thought when I started Instagram, well, it was a miracle that I could remember my password. So I mean, that was the first hurdle to get through after my sons were like, go on Instagram. But after I remember my Instagram password, I found over the time I've been on it, I mean, I really met some lovely people. Most I have not met in person, of course. I'm thrilled that we get to see each other, like this. But it's been nice, and there is a community there, and I appreciate it. And so that's been a nice bonus, for me.
I agree. I think that's been definitely the best part for me too. And I even 2 years ago, I was in Portugal in the winter, and I actually cooked with some chefs that I had met on Instagram. It was so fun.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, it was really fun. All right. So, do you have any tips for anyone who's thinking about starting a food blog?
If you want to start a food blog, do it because you love it. Do it because you love food. You don't even love all food. If it's because you love cookies, like I love cookies, or is it because you I don't know, want to get a message out there that you feel passionate about, then do it. But I think if you don't have that passion, it's just because you think it'd be a good pastime, don't do it, because it really takes a lot of energy.
It does. Yeah, that's great advice, Valerie. Well, it has been so fun to get to know more about you and to have you on my podcast. And thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate it. And before you go, is there anything else that you want to share with our listeners?
Well, first I want to thank you for inviting me. I had a great time. And meeting you face to face has been my pleasure. So thank you so very much. No, I don't know if I have any words of wisdom or something, else to share. I know it's a kind of a crazy time out there. And I did notice the last few days on Instagram, so many people almost feeling guilty about posting food or posting something happy. And it occurred to me today that, sometimes I think, what would I tell my boys, And I would tell my boys, be thoughtful of others, but live life, And so that's how I want to end it. It's a tough time, but everybody should just kind of, embrace what we have and be together and know that we're all in this together, and it'll all work out.
That is really great advice, because if we can stay positive, it actually helps our immune system. So it's actually a really good thing. And I think there's so many families spending more time together than they've ever spent or had the opportunity to spend together. So it's great advice. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. And like I said, go over and check out Cranberry Walks on Instagram, as well as her food blog. You're going to be inspired. And if you have questions about what's in your pantry and what to make for dinner or lunch or breakfast or snacks, reach out to Valerie. She's there to help you. And I just want to say a special, please stay well, everyone. And as my mother always used to say to me as we said our goodbyes, que Dios te bendiga, may God bless you. And remember to add the most important ingredient to every recipe you make this week, your love. Be well, everyone.